We took Honey to the vet. There was blood. So after surviving our trip to the veterinarian with our miniature lioness, she had to do her time in cat jail, but she's back to her normal self now. Although we did see this picture on the wall of the veterinarian's office, which we thought was really perfect. All the cat lovers know exactly where I'm going with that. But anywho, once we got back, I started taking a quick inventory. I was looking at the Lost in Space models I have. I have that little tiny B9 robot and the ship from the movie. And I was thinking, those kits that Ian has over at Hurricane Hobbies are kind of calling to me, especially the Jupiter 2. Although I gotta admit that C-57D's been on my mind also, but don't do it, Max. Steady, lad. Steady. So, anywho, after we got back from our little adventure, I got to work on the C7 Caribou. And this is one of those things where, fortunately, the model has a fairly flat bottom, but it's still really tricky to get the tail aligned correctly and leave it to harden in place, and the same thing with the wings. I finally got it done, but I actually had to take some of these pictures because even when you squat down and eyeball it, can be a little hard to tell, but if you level the camera, then you can, using the camera to see if the wings and tail are levels. Turned out to be a pretty good technique for me. You brace the fuselage, put the camera squarely on the table where everything's nice and still get a good clean photo. And it looks like they came out acceptable. And I remember I said I wasn't going to go in the weeds on this build. So the next thing is, unfortunately, it's a grungy day here. We have stuff that's going to keep me from model building to this afternoon, and I have to go to work tomorrow, so I may not get much done today other than this video. But it did come out okay. I'm going to tape off the windows with a block of tape before I spray paint it. I've already got the canopy taped off. I'm going to clear coat that first to help seal it. But that brings up an interesting little point. I'm not going to do that until it's ready to go into the paint booth, because one thing I've learned is tape, like anything else, the adhesives on tape, the longer they're on the model, the more they can leach into the paint. If you get it all sealed up with the low-tack tape or Tamiya tape or whatever you're using, spray it, and then when the stuff's hardened, of course you peel it off. You usually don't have too much trouble. But if you go, I'll tape it up now, and then something happens and you don't paint it for a week, you may find that the adhesives leach in there and start pulling paint off. So just a thing to be aware of. But it does look like the wings and tail are acceptably straight, a little putty, not much. The seams look pretty good, all things considered. And the weights are still in there, so even though one of them's rattling around. But once I get this done, get the cowlings painted, it's mostly just assembly at that point. I've already got the props painted, well, except for the yellow tips, and which are always fun because yellow. But one of those, a couple little side points before I go, just kind of interesting. Tommy, here's where I have the Italian World War II Italian Air Force Officers Mess spoon by the only Italian model airplane I have, the CR-42, even though it's in Swedish markings, but it's on the shelf. And also, just as a humorous aside, I saw a roofing contractor here in Jacksonville, Top Gun Roofing, great name, but anybody notice anything a little bit, all your aviation guy types, anything a little bit not quite right about the logo here? Of course, this is a Navy town with a Air Force Air Guard unit, so maybe they're just trying to be an equal opportunity type contractor. Anyway, guys, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you later, and as always, model on.